Hi, my name is Joyce Tapoya. I reside in Pleasanton. I grew up in Oakland, and my mom was institutionalized in 1953, and she was committed at the basement of Highland Hospital in Oakland, California. Shipped on a bus to Stockton Mental Hospital against her will. Commitment papers were signed by a great aunt that worked at Highland Hospital, and she spent 3 years at Stockton State Mental Hospital. She had 66 shock treatments, and relatives visited her, including my uncle, Harold Rathagen. He goes by Bud, my mother's biological brother. And I was adopted out into a dysfunctional alcoholic home. I was almost 2 years old when that happened. And I was never told I was adopted, and I started looking for my mother in 1981 when it dawned on me from my physiology class that green eyes coming from 2 brown-eyed people, I may not be their child. And I researched that, and I found out I was adopted. And then I started looking for my mother, and I gained information through an attorney, and that's where I'm at today. And then I discovered through several investigators that I hired and spent a lot of money on, and I always got to a dead end. And after hiring Tammy Davison, a Pleasanton PI, she discovered on me through her research that there were 30 bodies found in November of 2005 at the old Stockton State Mental Hospital grounds. And being that my Uncle Bud, Harold Rathagen, told me that he was never notified that my mother was missing as of February the 19th, 1956, he thought there might be some foul play because he was sent an apology letter 4 months later after she was missing. And he would have never received that letter except he called Stockton State Mental Hospital in 1956 to ask them if his sister was ill, because he hadn't received any correspondence back from the many letters he had sent her. And at that time they told her she had been missing, and they apologized for never ever contacting him. And then after that conversation, toward the end of June, he received an apology letter from Dr. Adams, the director at the time, which I do have a copy of. And that was very, very sad. So there's a lot of red flags that have only brought me to this burial site, and being interviewed right now by Tammy Davison, and to give me the hope and the strength to keep pursuing with the State Department of Mental Health to do DNA on the bodies, so myself and other relatives of those 30 bodies that have inquired through the State Department of Mental Health to do research and we've been denied that, and we've been told we need to pay for our own DNA. So I'm just trying to get as much publicity, as much support from the media and the public that maybe the State Department of Mental Health will hopefully change their mind and allow us, the ones that match up to our relatives possibly, to have the closure that we so well deserve. And I have the faith and the hope that this will work out the way it's supposed to. And I want to thank Tammy Davison. She has been the main instrument in me coming this far in regards to the search for my mother, and my dear beloved Uncle Bud, her brother, that is also, through his numerous emails and phone calls, given me also the strength to go through this experience. Thank you.
And what have you heard about the gravesite burial back here? That's behind you.
The gravesite burial is, the bodies will be reburied sometime in the spring of this year, 2007. Date is undetermined. The group construction company hired Pacific Legacy Group, an archive company, to come out and determine the sex and the age. And from my understanding, that approximate figure is $275,000 to have that done, which confuses me quite a bit. I think that's a waste of our tax dollars, where they're not going to allow us possible relatives to have DNA done. So I am in contact with Pacific Legacy Group Construction, and the State Department of Mental Health, and they have promised me that they'd give me a date when the reburial will take place.
Alright, this is the same site. As you can see, they were digging the ponds up, and down in the on the other side of the cyclone fence is where the bodies were just thrown in a hole, and they were buried right where you're seeing on the video camera here. When they discovered the bodies, they called the Stockton coroner's office, who came out and determined that this was not an Indian burial site. So they covered the site back up until they could figure out what to do next.
Dug up the nat dirt.
Yeah.
And it's just the way the crevices all go in the dirt, the way that picture shows, right?
Yep.
How are we going to pursue who he is, Tammy?
This was where the administrator lived for the Stockton Mental Institute back when Joyce's mom was in the hospital. Buildings that was demolished here. Not sure what this is. See if we can find anything else like it. There was building 903. It looks like something. They load up trucks. They drive underneath there and load something. Maybe that's where they did the trash or incinerations. I don't know. Check it out.
There's the one for the large, and they brought the remains in here.
Hmm.
And I don't know how many remains were there. I don't know.
What year was this?
Oh, the 19.
I wonder how they look up to see if people were buried here. It looks like they're not on a computer, except for hers. So who owns the property, I wonder?
I don't know. Probably the Beverly Mansion. This piece of property that we're videotaping here was appears to be the empty lot that the security guy over at the burial site for the 30 people said that there was more. His name was Ken from Securita or something like that. Security said there was another place where they uncovered bodies, and they just filled the holes back up because they didn't know what to do with them, and they weren't building on it next to the Beverly Mansion or old folks home, whatever. What's it called? The Beverly Manor. Beverly Manor.
That they were bodies that were brought over from the Stockton State Mental Hospital.
Yeah, from the Stockton State Mental Hospital. And it just happens to butt up right to the
Cemetery.
cemetery.
Well, they want to make it look good, I guess.